where do you stand immigration, illegal immigrants, having the benefits that they've worked so hard for? Where do you stand on those issues?
First of all, just for a show of hands, how many people in this room, 2, 3 generations back, or maybe less or more, have relatives who came to America from another country? So the point is, to begin with, that when we have a policy in this country which attacks immigrants, who are we attacking? Ourselves. And so we must replace the self-hatred with self-love. We must remember where we came from. And when we remember where we came from, we then become one with the aspirations that brought people here. The policies that are happening right now, that we've seen announced over the weekend even, represent a destruction of the spirit of democracy. They represent a turning away from the spirit that is represented by the Statue of Liberty. In Ellis Island stands this beautiful woman with a torch held high in the sky, and a poem is inscribed on the base, which many of you know, and I will remind you of. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." If we believe in those sentiments, which are reflected in an icon which represents America itself, then we cannot turn our backs on those millions of people who have come to America for an opportunity, who have worked in our communities, who have worked in the factories, who have made a contribution. We cannot tell them, go home. We cannot tell their children, you have no father or mother to be there. We must stand for something as Americans. Who are we as a country? What's becoming of America? When we sit by idly and see these raids continue, and see people forced underground, and see people separated from their families. Oh yes, there must be a path to legalization. But for those officials who point their fingers and try to say, illegal aliens, I know, humanos ilegales, there's no illegal human beings. These are people who have dignity. These are people who have spirits and hearts and souls. Do not crush them. Do not look down on them. Who are we as a nation, I ask? Who are we? What do we represent? This policy of Homeland Security, I believe, will be to immigration what Homeland Security was to the administration of Katrina. These are people who have no common sense about how do you handle a matter where you have 8 million people or more who are without documentation. This is why in my health care plan, you don't need to have a Social Security number. We need to make sure that people who are here as part of a community, we find a way to make the connection. What are some of the things we can do? Let me share them with you. One of my first acts in office as President of the United States will be to cancel NAFTA and the WTO and go back to trade based on workers' rights. What does that mean? Think about this now. In other words, we come up with a new immigration policy and you link a green card to card check. You have workers who have rights to join a union and they also have a green card, and suddenly this, not only in America, but you renegotiate a trade agreement with Mexico so Mexican workers have those rights too, and people can decide that they can make a decent living in Mexico. See, we need a president who has an awareness of the connections that happen. What happened in Mexico after NAFTA passed? Wages collapsed. People rushed to survive. I get it. And so when it comes to immigrants, my grandfather, John Kucinich, came from what is now Croatia. Years ago, he had a dream of what it meant to come to America. I'm the product of immigrants. I understand the immigrant experience. And when I meet with young Mexican children who tell me that they're worried about a raid picking up their mother or father and not having them, when they can't get into the school they want, because in states like Arizona they pass laws that say that if you don't have documentation you can't get benefits, so therefore you have to pay the highest rate. What are we doing to our society? Why this punitive aspect? We have high public officials who have destroyed our Constitution, and they want to point their finger at someone and say, you're not documented, please. I am prepared to lead. But I'm prepared to lead with all of us together in this pro-democracy movement where we reclaim the spirit of America again. Thank you to all the immigrants who are here. Thank you for helping to define what it means to be an American. Let's create a definition for America that welcomes the world, that gives us all a sense of belonging. Thank you so much. Thank you.